the time and space to give yourself a break. Here you'll find some love, music, laughter, and above all, she'll dare to tell the truth. And so come to Granny's place and give your spirit a big boost.
Welcome to Granny's Place, a haven for love, entertainment, and uncommon sense. I'm Sweet Baby James, here to introduce you to Granny Rocks. Do we get off on polarization? And why? Perhaps we can get beyond that. Or can we get beyond that? Let's ask Granny and see what she has to say. And so here's Granny.
Wait a minute, I thought you were going to say, well, I sure do.
Oh, I hate to say so, but yeah, historically, I have really gotten off on polarization. I just love being right in my own opinion.
Oh, yeah. I am so right. I am so right. I am so right. I am so right.
And they're wrong.
I am so right. I am so right. I am so right. I am so wrong. I'm not even hitting the right notes. That just goes to show you what happens when you start polarizing. You get more and more wrong. Now I can't even play. What does this mean? Well, okay, first I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest.
Okay.
There are times when I think there is no other side. It's just, I mean, like, okay, let's say somebody comes along and says, in order to solve the world's problems, we're going to kill all the Jewish children at birth. I think I might get a little polarized. Or it could have been all the Navajo children. It's not just because, I have a Jewish background. It's just horrible. I mean, the shit that people come up with, right? And it's difficult not to polarize. And I can't see the other side of that, right? So I'm going to admit that right away. There are some things that are so wrong. But most of the time, I'm not even saying that things that people are suggesting aren't tragically stupid, wrong, hurtful, damaging. Like, let's pollute the oceans some more.
Well, let's destroy life on Earth.
Let's
destroy pollution.
So it's like, okay, so if you're sitting there and they're thinking, how can you even ask about polarization? Of course we're polarized. There are some terrible things like kill all the Navajo children at birth. Or the Christian children. Let's see, the Christian children. Oh, no, that would be terrible. So, what are we even talking about? How can we address the issue of polarization when there are some things that are so clearly wrong? Yeah, I can't even talk today. Well, the topic has me riled up. First, I want to show you what polarization sounds like. Isn't that the sound of one hand polarizing?
Very graphic. That's right.
Now, do you notice anything about that?
Yeah, I notice that both sides have validity.
You do?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the bass. There's nothing wrong with the treble.
How true that is. How true. You're disproving.
And if they want to find a middle ground, then there can be some middle tones.
Well, but the other thing that I think we see about this is that all we're doing is getting more and more screaming the same notes over and over, just louder and louder.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the other thing about polarization. It's just like you get so in the groove that after a while, you're not even listening to yourself. You're going... And if I had two hands, I'd play them both at the same time. And you know what that would sound like? That's the sound of the political environment, and sadly enough, to a degree, the social environment in our world today. Now, Can you agree with that?
I agree with that.
We're not polarizing around that.
Oh.
Okay, so now we have kill all the Jewish children, and yet we're not supposed to be doing this, right? Can you identify? I can identify with that. I can identify with the dilemma. Now, the question that I'm asking in this program is, do we get off on polarization? Is it sometimes not avoidable? Maybe. But maybe the way that we do it would change. Maybe disagreeing instead of polarizing, or pointing out, or fighting against, or standing up for, as opposed to polarization and the getting off on it. Now, what do I mean by getting off on polarization? It means that the more you go like this, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm saying that the more we do it, the more we get into the groove, and the less we can do anything else. I want to tell you, that hurts, banging on those keys. I have never had that experience because I'm flinging my arms around. See, it hurts to polarize. Even I am hurting polarizing on the piano because I'm getting more and more intense and less thoughtful. Now, did it ever occur to you, and I'm going to come back to the question of getting off on it, but did it ever occur to you that one of the reasons that we polarize is because we're not sure we're right?
Oh.
That's a shocking thought. Now, this guy. That was Dragnet, right? Was that
right,
the 50s or something
50s,
like that?
yeah.
Okay, most of you don't even know about that. Not worth knowing. But anyway, that was Dragnet. That was the theme song of Dragnet. Anyway, don't you think... Well, let's do this over and over. Nothing else. No drums, no violin. Doesn't that get just like a tad boring?
Way boring.
Way boring.
That's starting to get boring, too.
It is. Are you getting what I'm saying? See, what happens is when we get polarized, we just keep repeating the same position and ideas over and over and over and over, and it gets boring. And we're not even listening to ourselves anymore because we've already heard it.
I've done that.
Yeah, I have
Lots.
too. It's like, yes. Now, if the other person disagrees with this, then it'll be blah 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 blah, but it's still blah 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 blah. And I'm not getting anywhere. I'm feeling empty. I feel, you know what I mean, like wasted. Yeah. But part of it is adrenaline. It's like, oh, an opponent. Woo! Whoopee! I have an opponent I can argue with. I can be right. What did I just say? I don't even remember what I said, but whatever it was, I have an opponent. I can feel powerful. Oh, very important. You know, we did a show several weeks ago about violence, right? And how so much of our violence comes out of a feeling of powerlessness. I feel so powerless. I feel so powerless. I feel so powerless. I know this sounds lousy, by the way, but feeling powerless sounds lousy. I can't make this sound beautiful. I feel so powerless. So here comes an opponent, and my energy starts rubbing off, and I get really angry, and I know that I'm right, and I'm gonna knock him dead right now, and I don't feel powerless anymore. Instead, I feel super adrenalated. Right? It's like yes, no, you, and at the end of it, I'm feeling, I need a drink. Right? I need comfort. I'm so upset. I'm so riled up. I'm so right. I'm exhausted. Have you ever felt like that?
Oh, yeah.
So it's not just
draining.
me.
It's very draining.
Very draining.
Yeah.
Good word. Sort of like swamp or sewer, right? So I'm drained. I'm totally drained. Why? Because I've been holding a position for God knows how many minutes or hours. Holding a position. I'm holding it. I'm holding it. I don't care what you say. Oh no, I'm not even listening. Oh no, I'm just waiting for you to finish so I can say, yes, but, 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 yes, but. Not a nurturing situation. Now, I'm not even talking about what's happening to the other guy. I'm talking about what's happened to me. I am drained from these stupid, seemingly endless wastes of energy. So now you say, well, what does that mean, Granny, that you're saying that we shouldn't talk to people we disagree with? If only that were what I was saying, right? No, I'm saying don't polarize. Well, I don't understand. How can you take different positions and not polarize? Well, think of this. Do you really believe that everything that you're thinking is not only true, but that you know that it's true, that it's verifiably true? Have you actually verified it? How many times have you argued about something that you really know nothing about, but you read about it, or you heard it on Fox News?
I have it on authority.
You have it on authority, or the president said it, which obviously is it is fascinating. I just read today that there is a study about how fake news actually may have influenced the election. Fake news from Russia. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Guess who had the greatest advantage from fake news? President Trump or Nickel?
That's right.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
The one guy who stands up against fake news, who happens to be one of the greatest creators of fake news we have ever seen in the White House. Now, you may like him because you like what he stands for, or you like his attitude, or you like the fact that he speaks up, or whatever. But if you were objective and if you were honest, you'd have to admit that the dude is full of an incredible amount of bull. And he really doesn't even care about truth. Well, did Hillary? I didn't get that feeling. Did you? I felt like a politician. That she was saying what the market would bear at the time. Mm-hmm. And while there are glimpses in that woman of absolute caring, maybe there are in Trump too. I don't know. But of course there's lies. I mean, there were all kinds of slanders against Bernie Sanders. And even Bernie wasn't always 100% honest. Now, so do we even want to know what's true, or do we want something that's going to back up what we already think? We talked about that in an earlier show about where did our thoughts come from. But anyway, I'm trying to stick to the polarization. So now, how does it impact me when I know that I read an article this morning that said 29.5% of the penguins in the world are doomed in the next 3 weeks? And I'm going to bring that onto the show. Did you know, James, that 29.5% of the penguins of the world are going to be doomed in the next 3 weeks?
No.
I read that in Blur. I saw it on Blur. Right?
Right.
Okay, and now I'm going to bring this out as evidence for whatever. Mm-hmm. We need to start a home for disabled penguins, or it's an endangered species, whatever it is. Now, I'm not saying that, oh my God, that the wildlife isn't suffering horribly from climate change, but what I'm saying is, okay, I read this article, I've heard this on the news, I got it on Facebook. I got it on Facebook. I read it on Facebook. On Facebook. On Facebook. I read it on Facebook. I heard somewhere read somewhere. Look at how much evidence I'm bringing. I read somewhere. Right? I read somewhere that the majority of people, or tons of people, whatever it is, some big number, because I have no memory either, get all their news from Facebook. I never understood what that meant. I started looking at my Facebook page because I was using an app for my iPad, and I got it suddenly. I'm looking at it, keeps coming in on my feed. I'm not looking at my feed, but it's coming in because I do the Granny Rocks on Facebook page, right? But on my other page, I keep getting article after article, all completely agreeing with everything that I think. Right? Because these are my friends, and my friends agree with me. So, anyway.
So it must be true.
So it must be true. So I read it on Facebook, or that 29.5% of the penguins are going to be dead in 3 weeks, and there is nothing we can do unless we ambush Vice President Pence in the Rose Garden. And it got spread 100 billion times. I would love to see Granny's Place spreading like fake news. Oh my God. Wow. Hey, I aspire to fake news status. So, okay, there we go. So I read it on Facebook. Now I'm going to get into an argument with a guy who says, there are no endangered species in the world today. There really isn't even any climate change. This is all a hoax from the Chinese, right? And so, of course, I'm going to be screaming in his face. And, I'll say, oh, yeah, but look at the weather. Look at this. Look at that. Look at the other thing. And in addition to that, 29.5% of the penguins are going to be dead in 3 weeks. And you can't deny that because I read it on Facebook. Now, do you think that I actually feel confident about what I'm saying?
No.
No. See, here's the dealie. So then you have somebody on the other side, somebody who, voted for President Trump, who said, draining the swamp. He's going to drain the swamp. And then you ask, well, how do you know that President Trump is going to drain the swamp? Well, because he said so. I read it on Twitter. Ooh, I read it on Twitter. Tweet, da-ba-da-da, tweet, da-da-da-da, tweet. I read it on Twitter. Tweet. So, anyway, we know what a swamp the current White House is. Lobbyists galore are being hired in to protect our environment and...
very corrupt, spending lots of American money, taxpayers' money on doors and fancy furniture,
right?
Air travel to places that are vacation spots.
So anyway, but I read it on Twitter, and that's it. So now I have ignorant me, who is clinging to a shred of evidence for my position, talking to ignorant you, who's hanging on to a shred that you saw on Twitter, and we're colliding, and we're going to fight it out to the death. It's the gunfight at the OK Corral.
But at that corral, only one of us is okay. The other one's not okay.
That's right. But in truth, neither of us is going to be okay. And so do I think that some of this bravado is because we know damn well we don't know what we're talking about? I sort of suspect that, but I don't know it for sure because I didn't see it on Facebook. So if I didn't see it on Facebook, it may not be true, but that's what I'm sort of thinking, because I have noticed that the more ignorant I am, the more I get strident. Now, I'm not talking about opinionated. Very educated people can be opinionated, but very educated people can choose what their education is. You start watching a news program that you don't like, and you make that your only news source for a week, and you will feel that you have died and gone to hell, or the planet has changed dramatically in the last week, because nothing is ever the same. Right?
Yeah.
So here we are. We're all spouting a bunch of bull. Very little thought going into anything. And we're going to defend it to the death. And the more insecure we are, the louder we get. And the more we feel the absolute need to throw around words like patriot, 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 patriot. Because that's the end of that. Immoral, 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 immoral. Slime bag, asshole. It gets worse and worse, doesn't it? Right? So we have all these things that we fling at each other, and we keep getting more and more polarized because all we're doing is defending a position which is probably fatally flawed, and even if it isn't, we don't know it, because most of us just can't even keep up with the news, much less the evidence, or where the evidence comes from, or where that came from, or is it even true, or what about all the contrary studies that we never look at, because we always look at the things we agree with so that we can continue to polarize. Isn't it true?
Yeah.
And why would we want to do this? So anyway, so what I was saying is, when we get through with this, we're feeling kind of drained, furious that we didn't change the other person's mind. Unheard. Oh my God, we're just dissed. We are so disrespected. And the other person was so stupid, and all of that. Now, that's not healthy. That's not healthy for us. It's not healthy for democracy. It's not healthy for conversation. It's not healthy for communities. We shouldn't be afraid to talk to each other, but we are, because we're so polarized that everything gets so vicious, it gets so nasty, that we are afraid to talk to each other. So, we're in a community where there's a lot of people who are very much in favor of gun rights, and there is people who are in favor of gun control. And it's been very difficult to have a conversation, because immediately comes up patriotism, the Constitution, God-given right to carry a gun, boom, boom. And we've actually been able in the community to have a little bit of a conversation where we're looking at things like, excuse me, is that bill really going to take away the Second Amendment, or is it even going to help? Can we even ask these questions? Not when we're polarized. So here's the deal. The deal is, because I'm always supposed to get to the happy part sometime in the show. Well, I don't know if I'm at the happy part, but I don't think this has been such an unhappy show, has it? Are you all depressed this time? I hope not. So, is there an answer?
It has the ring of truth.
It has the ring. It has the stink of truth, doesn't it? Well, so what I'm thinking is, one way to stop the polarization is to actually get honest and say, this is what I think. This is the basis on which I am thinking this. These are the doubts that I have about this. So let's say the conservatives are taking away something that the liberals believe in, because it's more like that these days than the other way around. It used to be the liberals were taking away something that the conservatives believed in. And let's say you're the liberal who's, threatened, and you say, well, did that really work? Did that program really work? Some did, and I want to defend it. How did it work? Let me get the information. Or did it not work? Or what questions do I have that I would like to explore, right? Doesn't even mean, no, it didn't work, but maybe I have some questions about it. Or, maybe there is actually a better solution. Why don't we start talking about what the solutions could be. But when we are polarized, we aren't interested in solutions. No, we're interested in fighting with each other. Now, why? I haven't gotten to that question. This is fighting with each other. It's kind of a cool tone, but it's kind of dissonant. But anyway, so what is that? What is that? So we're talking about getting off on, right? That's where we started. I haven't answered that question, right?
You want to go for the win. You want to win the argument.
We want to go for the win. It's a way of dealing with our feelings of powerlessness. I talked about that already.
Yeah.
But there's more. There's my friends. I have my friends. We all think the same way. And I can't say anything different because one of my friends might not like it. And I hang out with this group, and I don't even want to think that maybe what the group is thinking is maybe a partial truth, or a non-truth, or a total fib, or maybe entirely true, but I don't want to know. So if I started to get honest and I said, I want a solution to this, what could possibly be the solution to this issue? Radical. I mean, it sounds so obvious. Aren't you sitting there and saying, oh, I had to pay this much, all that you paid to get to see this show today, in order to find out that the answer to polarization is a sincere desire to get solutions. Now, can we even agree on the problems, you can say? Or are we going to polarize about that? Well, every problem can be explored a little deeper. So let's say we started out, we're going to kill all the Jewish children at birth. Like the Pharaoh. Passover is around this time. Passover, the Pharaoh was going to kill all the sons, the firstborn sons or something. Something like that. I don't remember. That was Jesus too, right?
Jesus too.
So, with my memory, God knows what I'm talking about. But never quote me on facts. Just listen to my thoughts and thought process. Okay, so what is that? Okay, fine. You want to kill all the Jewish children. Why? What problem do you think that's going to solve? Well, then there won't be any Jews anymore. And if there are no Jews, then there will be fewer hook noses in the world. Yes, but there will still be Italians. So, you know what I mean? That does not solve the problem. Well, what else is that going to solve? Well, I won't have all those kids with all those advantages who are going to be getting the scholarships instead of me. Oh, okay, but what about all those genius black students and African students and girls and everybody else? Is that going to solve anything? Well, if there are no more Jews, then they can't control the world. Well, are Jews controlling the world? Really? I didn't know that. Can you show me how Jews are controlling the world? So what is the problem that you're trying to solve? I'm trying to solve... What the hell am I trying to solve? I'm uncomfortable. My life is uncomfortable. I'm stressed. I'm unhappy. I need money. I need more opportunities. My kids need more opportunities. My wife needs to start enjoying our sex better. I need to feel manly or womanly or otherly. And I need to be free. I need to feel whatever it is. And you say, really? And what would really give that to you? Come to Granny's place and find out. That's what we talk about all the time, isn't it?
Yes.
We talk about attitudes that bring real solutions. Now, some of you wonder why I don't come down and talk about every bill and because that's not what we do here. What we're looking at is what are the underlying issues, problems, shape of society, beliefs, structures that are causing us to be unhappy. That's what I'm trying to do. So that's the end of polarization. And then I say to myself, I feel the same way you do. I feel the same way you do. I feel the same way you do. Let's talk about solution. Let's talk about solution. Yeah, so do we get off on polarization? We do, because it makes us feel powerful. It makes us feel united with our friends. It makes us feel empty. It makes us feel insecure. And that makes us fight even harder to defend our ignorance and our confusion, because we have an association of this belief with a feeling of empowerment, but we're being disempowered.
And drained.
And drained. We are losing our ability to think critically. That's a real loss. Can we get beyond polarization? Yes. Please spread this show. Tell people about Granny's Place, how we're live streamed every week. Tell them about Granny's Kitchen, which is the program. It's a conference, a video conference, or on the phone where people can talk about their reactions to the show
or
afterwards.
Online, on video. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, either online or on phone if you can't do it online. And the information is right here on the post about how to join that conversation. Please spread the word. If you love Granny's Place, take a chance. Send it to your friends. Tell them to watch. That's one thing we need less of, is polarization. God bless.